Hello YouTube, this is Darkon633. Today is yet another installment of Blast of the Past View series, and this time we'll be moving on to animated for the month of November. Today we'll be moving on to Transformers Animated Voyager Shockwave. Now, this figure is very unique, because it actually does something that no other Transformer has done up to this point. If I remember correctly, nothing has really done something as close to this, except for Punch and Counterpunch, so that's the hint what it can do. For those who aren't familiar with Transformers Animated Shockwave, he has a lot of unique features that aren't present in a lot of Transformers even to this day. And also, for those who haven't watched the show, Shockwave was actually kind of posing in espionage with the Autobots, and we'll get to in a minute what I mean by that. But anyways, we'll now move on to the figure itself. First, his head is on a double swivel by means of 2 points of the neck. Could swivel down at the bottom part of the neck and in the upper part of the neck closer to the head as well. His shoulders swivel all the way around and can bend outwards just a bit like that. And also, he does have swivels on his elbows. He does have a 90-degree elbow. His fingers here are single articulated, however, they do pop off, so be wary. They're on a very small peg area, so be careful, but they are a little bit of a rubbery plastic, so you don't have to worry too much about that. And this part is also ball jointed for purpose later on in the video. His hips have full movement, but no waist articulation otherwise. He does have fully jointed outer hip movement as well. Can swivel only at the bottom here, and his feet can pivot just a bit, but that's about it for the figure itself. We'll be now moving on to transformation, which is quite interesting. First, we're going to move the cannon, push this in, like so. Just going to hide it for now to show what it is later. We're going to pull down that piece now, and now we're going to push away the shoulders, push the arms in, collapse the hands into the joint here, and we're going to turn these so that they face this direction, which is a bit strange, and unfortunately it is a bit of kibble in vehicle mode. We're going to pull out these panel pieces here. We're going to plug them into the little areas there, but not at the moment, because now we're going to move on to the legs first. We're going to pull down these pieces, push this up, which could be a bit stuck. You kind of need to play around with it in order to get them up, as you can see there. Snap them together, and you're going to make sure that these pieces face this direction, which is a bit strange, but you'll see why we need to do that in a minute. First, we need to push these like that, collapse the feet, turn these around, and then open up these panels, push them in like that, and push in the legs as well. So you kind of need to fill around with the joint there in order to get them into place, so it looks like that. Turn this piece. We're going to peg this piece together like so. And now we can peg away that piece. Same thing with over here. And there we have Shockwave in his tank mode. But to finish it off, we're going to attach the weapon up here. So now we got Shockwave in his tank mode. Now his tank mode, there are some wheels at the bottom here. It doesn't really roll through that well. Since it is a bit of a flat design, it doesn't really move that much. What's good is that the turret is able to swivel around, so you get a good range of movement there. And you can also bend this piece up, so you can put it in other ways of attack. Same thing with the cannons here as well. So you can make it so that you can fire upwards as well, so that's really nice. Now, we're going to transform it into his other vehicle mode first, since it's a lot easier this way. To transfer it into his alternate vehicle mode, we're going to put away these cannons, pull this up, and snap this down where it's going to reveal this hook. And then, to finish it off, we're just going to push these pieces, and now we got Shockwave in his crane mode. Now in this mode, he's known as Long Arm, which this is where it gets interesting, since because of his second alt mode, he does technically have a second robot mode to accompany this. To transform it into his alternate robot mode, we're just going to reverse the steps around. So we're going to move down here, pull these out, and similar to how we transferred it into Shockwave, we're just going to pull these pieces like that. So it's just pretty much the same there. Next, we're going to turn around, and then, as you can see, he does have a second insignia. Because in this mode, which now we can fully reveal, he does have a second head design. We're going to unpeg the arms, turn the arms around so it's pretty much transforming it somewhat into Shockwave, but not fully. Snap these back together. And then we're going to have to bend these upward, which could be a bit tricky. And then we turn this around again. So now we have Long Arm Prime. First we're going to pull these out. Sorry about that. So now, as long as you get all the pieces secure, and actually these are supposed to go the other direction, not bad. These pieces like to have problems standing outward. I need to move things around. So now we have Long Arm Prime in his robot's mode. Now, this is where it's pretty interesting, except for one problem when it comes to this mode. That's because what's cool that when in vehicle mode, when you look up here, it's pretty much just the crane and so on. But under here, it still has the Decepticon logo, which is from the cannon mode on Shockwave. So that is a bit unfortunate that this isn't really able to be hidden that well. And as long as you look up here, it's fine. But the second you look down, you see a Decepticon insignia, especially when attached back here again. You just put the crane there. You see the Decepticon insignia there, and it's a bit awkward anyway, so we're just going to pull it out like that. So that's pretty much it. Articulation-wise, it's pretty much the same except for the few components that are hidden. And it's a bit stockier in this mode, but he does have hip movement as usual. Can swivel and pivot in the feet as well. But the head articulation is no longer present, and he doesn't have elbows anymore because everything is hidden. Now what's cool is that even on the show, there are panels that can be revealed to help him back into Shockwave. Now to transfer him back into Shockwave, which we'll now get back into now, we're going to pull these panels here, extend the legs, so they stretch down. This looks like that. Going to plug these up, turn the feet around, going to pull up the crane, pull down his arms, turn his hands, pull out the fingers once again, and that's where I think it's very clever where everything is hidden. And then my most favorite part, when she transformed it back into vehicle mode earlier, first we're going to turn the insignia so it goes back into its Decepticon logo. Pull down this panel here in the back. Then we're going to move this up, and his second face gets hidden and reveals back the signature Shockwave eye, which it is red, unlike his original G1 counterpart, which is green. And what's cool is that for a while he was in this color even as Shockwave, and we're going to quickly turn this back into his cannon. We'll just slide this down and then I'm going to go back into cannon mode, as you can see there. Just plug it back in his arm. Is that he was this color for some time on the show, but later on, after he no longer needed to hide as an Autobot, he went back to his signature purple colors, and that was released in a 2-pack during Animated as a Target exclusive, but I never actually got a hold of that version of the mold, so I did forget we need to. Now technically you can keep this up in the shoulders like this, but in reality you're supposed to keep the shoulders up. And unfortunately for some reason that thing popped off. I'm just going to plug it back on. Usually doesn't do that, it actually stays on pretty snugly, but this time for some reason it did pop off, so. There you have Shockwave from Animated in his full glory. Now, I'm still very impressed with Hasbro's engineer team of creating this figure. They did a very nice job designing the figure in 4 different modes and still pass mostly, except for a few issues here and there, as technically 2 robots in 1. So the $20 Voyager price is definitely a good deal at the time. Obviously he has, or maybe has, grown more expensive over time. I'm not sure about the secondary prices on him. But if you're a fan of Animated, or just Shockwave in general, I highly recommend finding this figure online, maybe on eBay or some other place, since this is a very nice figure to add to your collection. Anyways, please comment and subscribe, and check out Hirotaku and the Gideon blog as soon as they open up. Please check out my Twitter handle under Darkon633, and please check down the other channels down below, including the WW podcast and the various other friends' channels. And sorry this week kind of ended kind of rough on this figure. It's been a while since I reviewed Shockwave, or just played around with Shockwave, should I say. So, hopefully next week I'll have a much better review to show you. But for now, I'll be seeing you YouTube. Bye.